Here's a stat that sounds impossible until you understand why it happens. A huge percentage of lottery winners end up broke within a few years. Not spend it slower than expected. Actually broke. Sometimes worse off than before they won. And it's not because they're bad with money, or unlucky, or dumb. It's because of one specific mechanism almost nobody talks about. Quick disclaimer, as always, not a financial advisor. This isn't financial advice, just sharing what I've learned studying this pattern and watching versions of it play out on a smaller scale in regular life too. Here's what's actually going on. Sudden money doesn't just change your bank balance. It removes the one thing that normally teaches you how to handle money: friction. When you earn money slowly, you build habits and instincts around it, almost by accident over years. When millions show up in a single afternoon, none of those instincts exist yet. You're handling a completely new scale of decision, with old, untested judgment. I think a lot of people watching this assume, well, I'd be different, I'd be smart about it. Maybe. But the data says otherwise for most people. And once you see the actual mechanism at play, you'll understand why intelligence isn't really the deciding factor here at all. So by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why this happens, the specific psychological traps involved, and more usefully, what it teaches you about handling any sudden influx of money, even ones way smaller than a jackpot. Let's name the first blocker directly, because it explains a lot. Humans are genuinely bad at reasoning about numbers outside their normal range. If you've never handled more than a few $1,000s at once, your brain doesn't have a reliable internal sense of what $1 million actually means in terms of spending power over time. It just registers as a lot, and a lot feels functionally infinite even when it isn't. Here's where the math gets brutal. Studies on this have found that around a third of lottery winners end up declaring bankruptcy within just a few years of winning. A third. That's not a fringe outcome, that's a well-documented repeating pattern. And it tracks with something simpler than bad luck. Without a plan, spending naturally rises to match whatever's available, no matter how large the number is. Let's walk through how this typically plays out, almost step by step. First, there's the immediate splurge. Cars, houses, gifts for family, often within the first few months. That alone can eat a shocking percentage of the total. Then come the opportunities, friends or strangers pitching business ideas, investments, loans. Sudden money makes you a magnet for exactly the kind of financial decisions you're least prepared to evaluate quickly. And without existing habits or systems, there's no mechanism slowing any of it down. I saw a smaller version of this play out with a friend of mine who got a large signing bonus early in his career. Not lottery-sized, but still more than he'd ever held at once. Within 18 months, most of it was gone, not on one big mistake, just dozens of small ones that each felt reasonable in isolation at the time. Here's a misconception I want to correct directly. People assume the fix is simply, don't spend it, invest all of it immediately. That's not quite right either. Moving too fast into unfamiliar decisions, even conservative-sounding ones without a real plan, can be just as damaging as reckless spending. The actual fix isn't speed in either direction, it's structure. Let's actually build out what that structure looks like, because this is the part that's genuinely useful, whether you ever win a jackpot or not. Step 1, and financial advisors who specialize in sudden wealth almost universally recommend this. Do nothing significant for the first 30 to 90 days. No big purchases, no investments, no loans to family. Just park the money somewhere safe and boring, like a high-yield account, and let the emotional intensity settle before making a single major decision. Step 2, build a team before you build a lifestyle. A fee-only financial advisor, a tax professional, and often an estate attorney before a single big purchase happens. This feels backwards to a lot of people, spending money on advice before spending money on things. But it's exactly the friction that normal, slow-earned money naturally provides and sudden money completely skips. Step 3, set fixed numbers before emotion sets them for you. A specific dollar amount for one meaningful splurge, a specific dollar amount set aside for family, a specific percentage that goes into long-term investments. Numbers decided in a calm state, ahead of time, are dramatically more durable than decisions made in the moment, surrounded by excitement or other people's expectations. Here's the second misconception worth correcting. People think this only applies to lottery winners or maybe inheritance. It doesn't. A big bonus, a business sale, even a large severance package. Any sudden jump in available cash triggers the exact same psychological blind spots. The dollar amount changes, the mechanism doesn't. I think about my friend's story often, actually, not because it was dramatic, but because it was so ordinary. No single bad decision. Just money without a plan, moving at the speed money moves when nothing's slowing it down. So here's the takeaway, the whole video in one line. It's not the size of the money that determines whether it lasts. It's whether there's a plan sitting between you and every decision it's suddenly capable of funding. I've applied this exact structure myself, on a much smaller scale, every single time unexpected money's shown up in my own life. And it's the entire reason a good year hasn't ever quietly turned into a bad one for me. If you want to see the exact one-page plan I use for any windfall, big or small, I actually have a full video breaking it down, but don't click on it just yet. Stay with me one more second. If you want to be the kind of person who has structure ready before the money ever shows up, that's exactly what hitting subscribe here means. Not for me, for the version of you that's prepared either way.